Sticky note! Sticky note! Sticky note!
Sentry mode activated. Target acquired.
Hey there hunters, and welcome back to the Gunners Guild. Today, rather than go over light bowgun, I'm going to cover sticky ammo in more detail, because, well, half of light bowgun setups are sticky anyway, and way I can make the light bowgun video a little bit shorter. So, the sticky ammo. A lot has changed from base world, where we really never used it, to now where it's one of the best demos. And there are kind of a lot of factors that contributed to this, so let's dive right into it. Stickies did get a slight damage buff. Sticky used to be 12, 16, 19, plus 3, 5, and 5 fire for ranks 1, 2, and 3 respectively, but now it's up to 12, 17, 24 with the same fire. The motion values on Sticky 3 got a really nice buff. It's almost a 25% damage increase, so that alone made Stickies much more valuable. The KO on them is also very helpful because you get the status and damage as a 2-in-1. The KO values for Sticky 2s are 50, and you get 100 off Sticky 3s, so that's pretty nice. Now, I had thought they had changed the crafting materials for Stickies to allow you to craft more, but apparently you've always been able to craft like 78 Sticky 3s. You get 30 blast nuts, which can each craft 2 Sticky 3s, then you get to carry 9 Sticky 1s, which make another 18 Sticky 3s, and of course you can carry 9 Sticky 3s, so you have a total of 87. When Spare Shot is applied, that brings you to about 107, and True Spare Shot brings it to about 124. So you get a lot of Stickies. Oh, so speaking of crafting, that reminds me, the craft all button with Stickies is a bit of a trap. If you have 2 Stickies, or any even number, and you go to craft all, it'll make 5 sets of Stickies, which will give you 10, but since you can only carry 9, you end up wasting 1. So either set up single craft for Stickies, which is still really annoying with how often you have to craft mid-reload, or you do craft all, but make sure you only craft when you have an odd amount of Stickies. This way you can get the most out of your crafting. So if I have 3 left, and I try to craft 9, it's going to craft me 3 times, which is 6. So 3 plus 6 is 9, boom, you're done. Of course, now you're playing Russian roulette with your reloading, or you have to keep constant track of your ammo. I can see how that can be annoying, but anyway, just be mindful about crafting Stickies. So the other thing that made Stickies more appealing is that bowguns we have can actually use them now. For the most part, Sticky 3s and Sticky 2s were on recoil 4 and slow reload for just about every light bowgun, and they're a little bit more usable with heavy bowgun like the Zora and Joe and Kjarhorn, but for the most part they were pretty much unusable. Now in Iceborne, light bowgun has rapid fire Sticky 2s, and it has Sticky 3s on recoil 2 and 3 depending on your bowgun, with evade reload which kind of cancels out their awful reload times anyway. Heavy bowgun has auto-load Sticky 3s and also has enough mods to make normal Sticky 3s a lot better, since damage mods don't really help Stickies all that much anyway. So on both bowguns, Stickies are just safer to use across the board. And the last piece of the puzzle is monster hit zones. So in Iceborne, most of the new monsters have some really bad hit zones for gunners until you tenderize them, like Ebony Odo Garen's face, which is unusable until you break his aura, which does require elemental damage, so raw bowguns are kinda shit out of luck there unless you use like the innate fire from Stickies or explosions from landmines to do it. Glavinus also has no usable hit zones unless you tenderize them, and then have to do it twice is just kind of a huge pain, plus reapplying it, god, it's just awful. Light bowgun has some of the hardest times applying tenderized zones. The range on Stickies is also pretty impressive. Getting full damage from anywhere is really nice. So you can ignore game concepts like hit zones, critical distance, and tenderizing, and that's why a lot of people use Stickies. It's kind of a dumb reason why they're useful, but that's why they're useful. You can just straight up ignore stuff. I had discussed it before my last video when going over Sticky heavy bowgun, but Sticky damage does have a cap. It's a thing you need to be aware of when you're building your sets. It basically boils down to 2 options. You either run Artillery 5 with Spare Shot, or Artillery 3 with True Spare Shot. Since both of them are 3-piece armor set bonuses, you can't have both. They end up dealing about the same damage on paper. They're within about 1,000 damage of each other typically, so they're basically about the same, but the damage sets that run Artillery 5 can cap within a few raw boosting skills, since once you reach double your weapon's effective raw, you hit cap. So doing something like Artillery 5, Attack 5, Peak Performance 3, Agitator 5, it's just way overkill. You'll have reached cap way before then. Things like Garuga's light bowgun will reach cap with just Artillery 5, Agitator 5, or Peak Performance 3. With True Spare Shot, Artillery 3, there's no reasonable way to get cap without using heroics, so don't worry about reaching it if you go that route. It seems bad not reaching damage cap, but True Spare Shot helps all your other ammos as well, so keep that in mind. It's less reloading as well, so that's always nice. Alright, Stickies are good, so what are we using them for and with? Well, let's go into light bowgun first. There are 3 main bowguns that run stickies. The first is the Shara light bowgun. This has recoil 3 with 2 recoil mods, and then you put on 2 evade to reload mods to make it much more usable. It also has great status ammo with Para 2s and Sleep 2s. It's basically the new God's Isle. If you're not familiar with the God's Isle, it was a bowgun of the old times, and it was the premier status bowgun. It had clusters, crag, and status ammo. Well, they butchered that beyond recognition in Iceborne, and as a substitute, we have Sharas. So if you want to be a support light bowgun, I can't believe I just said that, then Shara is your go-to. The damage is adequate enough, and you can lock monsters pretty dang well with all the status and traps you can muster. It's a pretty simple, safe, and effective playstyle, probably best utilized in groups though. If you're going for a more solo approach, then I would recommend the Rajang. It doesn't have sleeps, but the raw on this bowgun make it hit a bit harder than Shara, and the landmines are going to be stronger as well because of it. I use this setup with special ammo boost, slugger, and focus so I have more utility with it. I don't run free element since it has a clip size of 2 already, and I have evade reload 2, and it has spare shot. The effective damage output is pretty great, and I like this for a lot of monsters, especially Rajang. Of course, you can alter the set to make it much more safe and run Divine Protection 5 and Health Boost 3 and just kinda cut out the landmines. Up to you. Ultimately, this set has a ton of options. Now the other option you have here is the Garuga light bowgun, because what can't that bowgun use? Not only does it have recoil 2 on sticky 3s, which is fantastic, but it's got a ton of other supportive ammos as well. Rapid fire sticky 2s are a nice backup for fixing evade reloads while still getting damage and KO offs. Spread 3s are fine if you run out of ammo, and we also have poison. Now I'm going to sidetrack here on poison, and I'm also not taking credit for this because I'm pretty sure Mai was the first one to run it as far as I know. However, after thinking about it, I decided to run some tests and numbers to see how effective poison really was. Putting on 2 pieces of Rathian armor gets you the double amount of poison ticks, and it can really add up. It's not a bad thing to use on the side to keep all your damage up, as you can keep the monsters ticking while you put it on the stickies. I made a chart to show how many poison 2s it would take to poison a monster, and how much damage it would take. Savage Joe's 3-star weakness is a lie, and so is Radobon's 2-star weakness, but the takeaway here is that there are some monsters we can feasibly get 2,000 to 4,000 damage out of poisons if you really try to get 3 or 4 poisons off on a monster. The best part about the poison on the Garuga is that it's got recoil 1, fast reload, and a huge fucking clip size. It's very fast at applying poison, so once you get it going, it's as though you've already stuck on like 7 stickies on a monster, so that's cool. It's really good, so despite Garuga having lower damage in general from stickies because of its lower raw, it makes up for it really fast. I definitely run a poison sticky Garuga setup for a lot of 3-star weak monsters. On the heavy bowguns, we have close to the same options here. Shara and Rajang are pretty much the same as the light bowgun side, same benefits, same deficiencies. The added bonus to the heavy bowgun is that you have clusters and wyvern for backup damage. So when you knock down a monster with a wallbang or a KO, you can follow it up with clusters for a ton of damage. You can also use wyverns for topples and dunks in a pinch. Don't underestimate wyvern damage either. You can hit for 600 to 700 pretty easily, which is enough to get a lot of air dunks. The other heavy bowgun here is the Zora heavy bowgun. This one stands out because it can use sticky 3s much more effectively when you use your recoil and reload mods, and fires clusters much faster. It's overall going to have, I think, a slightly lower damage output because everything is just going to be weaker due to its raw, but you have better status emmos than the former 2, and ultimately your DPS is higher because it fires things much quicker. So it's going to run through ammo quick, and if you don't finish the monster off with what you have, you're going to be kind of boned. But ultimately, I think the Zora heavy bowgun is a better all-around heavy bowgun. Alright, so that's basically sticky ammo on why it's good, why we use it, and what we use with it. Thank you all for watching, and good luck out there, hunters, and whatever you may be hunting.